What's up, Tech Heart? How's everybody doing? Happy 2025. This right here is Apple TV, the so-called king of smart TV boxes. It's shiny, it's sleek, but let's be real, it's also boring, overpriced, and stuck in its walled garden. We can do better and nerd out in the process. Let's build a Raspberry Pi TV streamer to beat them all. Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, you're officially on notice. So grab your Pi, your favorite drink, and get ready. I'll meet you at the bench and go over the hardware. Let's go! Raspberry Pi, HDMI cable, power cable, ooh, fancy on-off button, SD card, one of them little ones, USB reader, SD card to USB dongle thing, ooh, and a fancy remote control keyboard thing, so we can control the joint. We're going to use all these things, from a Raspberry Pi 4 to an SD card to the remote control to the SD card reader so we can put stuff on that SD card, to our power cables, and to our USB stick that we'll add software onto. Man, we're gonna get busy with these joints. Are y'all ready? Let's go! So let's take a peek at what we'll get. Here's Android 15 booted up. You can see over here, I have my Ring front doorbell, I have my weather forecast, and I have all of my apps down here. Let me go into the mode where I can use my arrow keys. We have YouTube, Jellyfin or Plex, whichever you like to self-host, Netflix, YouTube Music, Image. Oh boy, that's a big one. So we have a lot of stuff that we don't get on Apple TV, and a lot of stuff that we do get on Apple TV. For example, I can even open up my Proxmox virtual environment server, and I can see all the info on my 3 servers that I have running. There's the 3 nodes. That's pretty cool. I can see all sorts of info about my Proxmox cluster. Okay. I have my self-hosted Jellyfin server. Pretty gangster, dog. We could go over and check out the movies that we have on our Jellyfin server. And look at that. Bob's your uncle. We can always click down here to go back to the main menu. And as stated, we have a lot of apps. This is pretty cool. We're running Android 15, which doesn't automatically come with the Play Store, but we can get that jimmied in there. And then there's an F-Droid App Store for more stuff. And what you're seeing here, all of this menu stuff, it's ATV Launcher Pro. So let's go dive in to our desktop, and I'll show you how to get this installed on your Raspberry Pi 4 or Raspberry Pi 5. Look at this, man. We're kicking Apple TV to the curb. Whoa! Y'all ready? Let's do this, boy. So here we are at the desk, and as stated, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4, but you could also use a Raspberry Pi 5. You can see by the dongle that I have hanging off there, that's for my remote control. It has a keyboard on the back. Maybe I'll flash on screen what that remote control is, but we'll be using that. First, we're going to have to flash Android 15 to our SD card. And I have a couple ways that I might do that. If you have an SD card reader on your computer, you can insert it into one of those guys. Or I'm going to use this little USB dongle. So whatever method you have, whether it's one of these or via plugging into a little dongle like so, go ahead and do that. And I'm going to insert it into my iMac. Let me get rid of this and this. I also forgot to mention, we'll use a USB stick, any USB stick that you have lying around, just to copy over some software later, and I'll explain that. But first things first, we're going to use Raspberry Pi Imager to burn Android 15 to that SD card. So you can go over here to raspberrypi.com/software, and you can scroll down, and you'll find Raspberry Pi Imager, and you can download for Mac, Windows, or Linux. If you're on a Raspberry Pi, you can also type sudo apt install rpi-imager into your terminal. Get yourself Raspberry Pi Imager and load it. And the project that we're going to use today is by a person named KonstaKANG. So on their website, KonstaKANG.com, you'll click on the Devices tab, and I'll click Raspberry Pi 4. I will state you can also use Lineage OS 22, which is Android 15, but it's kind of set up a little bit more like an OS. But we want to make this like a TV streamer. So we're going to use Android 15 at the very top, AOSP, KonstaKANG, Android 15. You can read all this, fills you in on what KonstaKANG Android 15 is, and down below there's some frequently asked questions and whatnot. But here's what we're after, is the very first file, AOSP 15, and then the date, KonstaKANG RPI 4. So I'm going to download that. This site's a little wonky. You have to first click on free access, and then complete some CAPTCHA. Oh gosh, great. I love these CAPTCHAs. Fun, fun, fun. All right, and start the download, baby. So I'll let that go, and I'm going to get back to the KonstaKANG website. And once that's completed, let's go over here to Raspberry Pi Imager, and we'll choose a device. Mine's Raspberry Pi 4. It doesn't even really matter because we're going to scroll all the way down and use custom. So we'll scroll down and find that file. Now it does come as a zip file. I've already unzipped it, but you'll have to unpackage that zip. Make sure you do so. After you do, we'll select AOSP 15, the .image. So that's within that zip file. Select that. And then we're going to choose that SD card that we inserted. Once you have all that ready, click Next. We'll select No here. We don't need to do any custom settings. And we'll say, yes, we understand that everything's going to be deleted on that card. And Bob's your uncle. Now we'll let this finish up over here. And I'll get back with you when it's done. Oh yeah. And once that's done, I'm going to click Cancel to verify because I live on the edge, baby. You can let the verify go if you choose. And then I'll go grab the SD card. Pull it out of this. Oh, now I'm done with this little USB stick. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Okay. And now this has very vanilla Android 15 installed on it. So I can take that and I'll insert it into the Raspberry Pi 4 or 5. Do remember, if you are using a Raspberry Pi 5, on the KonstaKANG website, make sure you select the Raspberry Pi 5 version. Okay, so we have our vanilla Android 15 in our Raspberry Pi. Now let's grab our USB stick. And we're going to install, well, not install, we're going to copy over some zip files for modifications of that Android 15. So let me go throw this in. Ooh. And we're done with the Raspberry Pi Imager. We can close that. Let me open up that USB card. You know, I could zoom in for us. And here's that USB stick we just inserted. And let's go over to the KonstaKANG page, and we're going to scroll down a little bit. Here's these FAQs that I was chatting about, and there is some important stuff. Like in Android, we'll have settings, system, and then Raspberry Pi settings. We'll see that a little later. Down here, there's one part where it tells you how to use HDMI, because audio is set to come out of the 3.5 millimeter jack. You can go to Settings, System, Raspberry Pi Settings, Audio Device, and select HDMI, which will go right to our TV. But for now, I'm going to scroll down. There's different extras that we can install, like KonstaKANG RPI resize.zip. I'm going to go ahead and download this. And again, we have to go through this stupid free access. I'm not a robot. Start download. And I'll select to save that to the USB stick. Okay. So that'll show up here later. Let's go back to the KonstaKANG page and we'll continue down. If we want Widevine support for like Netflix, let's grab this file, go through this rigmarole, start the download. Let me drag that over there so we can see these. And I'll select, no name, the USB stick. Bing. We'll go back again. There's a file if you need Magisk. Magisk is an application for Android that it gives you root access. I don't need that. Here's a big important one. How do we get Google Apps? Right now, our Android 15 does not have Google Apps. And that's a big important part if we want to install different applications. So KonstaKAng tells you to download GApps 15. We're going to use a different project called MindTheGapps. It's at mindthegapps.com. So I'll scroll down here. It's probably hard for you to read, but we need MindTheGapps for Android 15. I'll click there, and I'll download the ARM64 version. Save that to no name. That one's pretty large. It's 500 megabytes, so we'll let that finish. And I'm going to go back to KonstaKAng, and I think that's it for now. That download's finished. So on our USB stick, we have those 3 files. Let's go ahead and eject this bad boy, and I'll go grab that USB stick. And now I'm going to grab our Raspberry Pi, and I'll insert that USB stick. I'm going to go for the USB 3. Oops, wrong way. Boom. So now I have that remote control inserted, our USB stick with our add-ons, and I have KonstaKAng's Android 15 inserted into the Raspberry Pi. So we're ready to go, baby. We'll just go over and we will plug our Raspberry Pi into our power cord, give it HDMI, put that sucker up to the TV. I'll catch back up with y'all in a minute. All right, so we're ready to get rocking. We can see down below our Raspberry Pi. Let me go turn that bad boy on. And we'll pan up and see our first boot into Android. Hey guys! Hooray for the sun! Oh yeah! There we are. I'll remind everybody that I'm using this remote control to control the screen. If you have a similar remote control, you'll notice that it's kind of hard to navigate around. I do have this mouse, and I can turn that off, and then I can use my arrow keys. But this Android setup isn't really like a TV streaming box. So we're gonna make a lot of modification to get it more like an Apple TV. But first, let's look around. Go over here and pull down from the upper left, and I can hit the settings. And one of the first things that we'll do is we'll go down here to System. It's right here. And there should be an About, I think. Oh, actually, it's below the System. We'll click About. We're looking for the build number. To turn on developer mode, just click or press on this 7 times. It'll start warning us we're 1 step away from being a dev. And now developer mode is on. So if we come into System, we can see down here developer options. We won't change anything in here right now. But later, this gives you a lot more control to the Android box. I want to point out one other thing. Let's go down here to Raspberry Pi settings. And now these are special settings for this version of Android directly relating to the Raspberry Pi. Here's the first setting I want to change. I'm going to click on the audio device and use HDMI 0. We'll test this later, but depending on which port you have your HDMI cable plugged into, that will coincide with which port your HDMI cord is plugged into. Let's start moving through the changes that we're going to do to this box. We're going to use that USB stick we inserted into the Raspberry Pi with those 3 files that we downloaded. Let's select this Reboot to Recovery option in Raspberry Pi settings, and then we'll reboot the device. We'll go to, you pull down from the upper left corner and click the power button, and let's do a restart. That's going to boot us into TWRP recovery mode, I think it's called. I should have showed you guys in the settings, if we would have looked at the storage usage of our device, it would have showed like 8 gigabytes when we have a 64 gigabit SD card installed. So since our SD card is only showing that 8 gigabytes, let's click on Install. And then we're going to have to select the storage down here, and we'll select our USB stick. See, it shows our internal storage is only 4 gigabytes. So let's fix that. We'll select USB. We're going to click KonstaKAng RPI Resize. Sorry, I clicked that too quickly, but there it is. And we'll swipe here to confirm a flash and let it do its thing. We'll say wipe Dalvik. It just wipes extra settings. And now we can reboot the system. Once that gets done, I'll show you that our storage is now the full 65 gigabytes, 64, whatever. Let's get into settings. Swipe down from up here, click settings, and we're going to look for storage. And now we can see that we have that 64 gigabytes available. Okay, another file that we downloaded was the Widevine support. So let's again go to System. I'm going to kind of speed through this now. We'll go down here, Raspberry Pi settings, reboot into twerp, swipe down, reboot. Let's go to Install. This time we're going to search for RPI Widevine, Android 15. And I will mention that this is only Widevine L3, so it doesn't have 4K support. Let's go ahead and wipe Dalvik. That's just a shortcoming. It's the best the KonstaKANG project has to offer, and we'll reboot. Now that we're in here, this is going to be the most important part. Let me pull up, how can I get to all my applications? It's not that, it's, pull up from here? Yeah, do that. You can notice we do not have a Google Play Store, so we can't really get software onto this bad boy, right? Let's do another reboot. So, we'll go to System, Raspberry Pi settings. You know the drill by now, right? Let's reboot. Now, we're going to use that MindTheGapps zip file we downloaded earlier. MindTheGapps 15 for ARM64. Let's click this. And this is a larger installation, so it'll take a little bit longer, but I'll let that fly by for you. Okay, so that's done. On this one, we're going to have to both wipe the Dalvik and, let's go to the home right here. We're going to click wipe. This will factory reset all the things we've already done. So actually we'll have to turn on that HDMI audio again, but this is required when installing MindTheGapps. When that's done, we'll reboot the system. Okay, now that we're in, let's open up the menu. And now you can see we have the Google Play Store. But all is not done in paradise. Let's click that and tap sign in. Oops, we need network. Real quick, we'll go into settings and I'll connect to my Wi-Fi. Turn it on here. There's my network. And with this cool remote that I have, I can just flip it over and type in my password. We'll click connect. And now let's go try Google Play. And you'll see that our device is not Play Protect certified. Damn, Google. All right, I'll meet you back over at the iMac and I'll show you how we're going to tackle this one. I'm going to kind of speed through this and we will need a terminal. So I'm going to open up a terminal and just for you guys, I'll make sure it's big so you can see everything nice and easily. We're going to need the Android debug binary. We can go over here. Oh, it's not the binary. It's the Android debug bridge for the terminal. I'll show you how to install it on Mac OS, but I'm also going to post up here xda-developers.com/install-adb-windows-macOS-linux. And this website will show you how to install ADB on any operating software. I'm on Mac OS, so I'll be using brew.sh. To install it, it's just one terminal command. You can copy it right here, and you could go to your terminal, and you could paste that command in, and that would install brew. On brew.sh, we can search for the Android debug bridge, and we'll find right here, Android-command line tools. Now, if I do a brew search Android, on my system, I already have Android command line tools and also Android platform tools, but you don't need that. So to install that, you would simply copy and paste brew install --cask Android command line tools. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to the Google Apps part of KonstaKANG's how-to. And for how to install Google Apps, we've already installed MindTheGapps. We rebooted. Now it says register Google Services Framework Android ID. So you pull up that website, and I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Google tells us that we can use ADB to get in. Okay, and then we can copy and paste this command, and this will get us our Android ID from that device. So let's paste that over here. And it kicks out this number. Let's copy this number. Scroll down on this website, click on Not a Robot, and paste our number in. Click register. Before I do that, you'll notice I've already registered 3, but when I click this, it should show another. Now it shows that ID that we just added. So you'll only have 1 ID here. And now, baby, we can wait about 30 minutes, and then we should be able to log into our Google Play Store. So I'm gonna go have a little snacky poo, and I'll catch up with you when that is done, baby. Okay, so we're booted back into Android. I see we're on Wi-Fi, so that's good. Let's check the Play Store now. And when we click sign in, it should ask us if we want to sign in. Look at that, we're in this time. Let me get logged in. And here, it was a little hard. Let's try to click try another way up here. Try another way. Okay, let's enter our password. I'm gonna hide this from the screen, but go ahead and enter your password. See if that works. Okay, and then we can just do tap yes on my phone or tablet, I think. And yeah, that messed up the video, so I had to tap on my phone screen when it came up. But there we go. Now, we should be able to use the Google Play Store, and we're gonna run through setting this bad boy up. I don't wanna back up any data. There we go, we're in Google Play Store. Now, let's first search for the main thing, the Android TV launcher. So we're going to go down here, and there's 2 different versions. Actually 3. The first 2 are free, TV Launcher, Smart TV, and TV Launcher. But I did pay $2.99 for a TV Launcher Pro. It's my favorite one. So let's get that installed. And if you don't want to spend $3, just use TV Launcher. It's very, very similar, but more basic. Okay. Now, to get that active, let's go to Settings. And we'll search for our launcher. Oh, and then we see ATV launcher. But let's do the default home app, is that right? Yeah. So instead of Quick Step, we're going to switch to ATV launcher. And Bob's your uncle. Look at this. Now we have a little bit more like a regular TV streaming box. I'm using the arrow keys right now, but you can also use your mouse cursor. And let's get a few things installed through the Play Store, baby. We'll do YouTube. We'll do Netflix. If you have a Plex server, you can install Plex. I'm running a Jellyfin server, so I'll install Jellyfin. This is my local Netflix streamer box. Ooh, here's another self-hosted one. I'm going to add my Home Assistant, and I'll show you why a little bit later. On that note, I'm going to add image. Instead of Google Photos or iCloud, I self-host with an application called Image, so that'll give me all of my photos. What other streaming services might you want? I also have a Proxmox server, so I'm going to search for that. Give that an install. Let's go check out our main menu. Now, here's all of our stuff down here, and you could have added your own streaming things. I'm going to hold down on that, and then I can select Move, and I'll go throw YouTube up here. I'll hold down, I'll click Move, I'll move Netflix to the top, and I'll just put them in the order that I want them. And there we go. Now for YouTube, you can use it just like YouTube. We can check out our channel. And yeah, you can use it just like YouTube.
What's up, Tech Art? How's everybody doing tonight? The video today is going to be a little bit different than we normally record.
There you go. You have your Netflix. You'll just get logged in and it'll work completely like normal. Let me get logged into my Home Assistant and I'll show you something else. Bob's your badass uncle. You can use your Home Assistant just like normal. I can turn off the computer den light. Look at that, baby. Right from our Raspberry Pi TV. But another thing that we can use that for is, you see we have all this space up here? Let's go ahead and long hold here. That'll come up and we can say pick a widget. Now if we scroll down, I'm going to use Home Assistant. So I think I can use the picture widget. And from my Home Assistant, I will enter, I think it's camera, front door. Yeah, and that already started populating right there. So I can just grab that. Now this is from my Home Assistant, so it's going to link up to my Ring Cam. Let's add widget. And boom, look at that. We can see me coming home last night. There are other widgets. I'll hold down and I'll pick widget. You can have a clock, or I think down here somewhere there's a weather one. Is it an entity state? Let's try that. Okay, so the entity ID is going to be weather. That's nice. It populates all your entities. So I'll do weather, forecast, home. Let's just try to add it. Yeah, this is weird. There was a way that I had the temperature. Goodness gracious. So there you go. Bob's your uncle. A better streaming box than Apple TV because we can control it. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Was this a waste of a half hour? Or are you going to pull out a pie and try for yourself? All right, Tech Heart out.